This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Western border exposed to illegal activities. 8-kilometer road to link Matopai and Edwaki station in Vanimo. And oil palm sees steady increase in its production and export. A very good evening. Happy Easter. You're watching National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. We begin with news from the Western Province, and exposed and vulnerable lies the little island town of Daru in the Southfly district of Western Province. Daru, which is the capital of Western Province and the district's main urban area, is the only place that people from other parts of the district travel to for almost any government and vital services. According to locals, the island over the last 10 years has become exposed to illegal activities such as drug trafficking, illegal fishing and people smuggling, to let alone buying of firearms. The district, which shares two international borders with Australia to the west and Indonesia to the east, has become the epicenter to all forms of illegal activities, where residents have become susceptible and are caught in between unlawful acts. Daru Island has a population of 30,000 plus people, and district with over 60,000 plus has caught its societies in pandemonium. According to locals, the island over the last 10 years or more has become an epicenter where there has been an increase in the number of illegal activities. Some say particularly Indonesians are currently squatting on the coastal villages, buying fish, sea cucumber and other marine resources illegally at a very low price. But the question is, how were they able to get through the borders? Many have questioned the military or defense presence in border areas, particularly in the Southfly district, as to what they are doing and whether or not if they are protecting the borders and the safety of the citizens. As locals are still wondering why and how these Indonesians have passed through the border, there has been a high increase in illegal activities, from smuggling of people to trafficking of marijuana has also increased, let alone the transportation of illegal firearms which are smuggled through the island to other parts of the country, let alone between two international borders of Australia and Indonesia. They are calling on the national government and responsible authorities, including RPNGC, National Fisheries Authority, Immigration and Border Security, to come forward and immediately do something about this. The question that lies now is, what is the national government doing to combat the many issues, to safeguarding its people, and what the government of the day is doing to protect the borders. The people of Southfly district are now calling on their leaders, both the governor of the province, Taboy Awioto, and local member Seki Agisa, to come forward and do something about the many illegal activities taking place in the Southfly district. Law and order issues in Daru Western Province has led to communities becoming unsafe for women and girls, let alone the most vulnerable, where youths in the area have turned to illegal activities, causing disharmony in the communities. Contributing factors to the increase of law and order issues in the Southfly district of Western Province has come down to the high increase of the unemployment level of youths. Year in, year out, the town is left with more and more grade 8, 10 and 12 dropouts, and the engagement of youths in areas with illegal activities. Homebrew consumption to the use of illicit substances have not only contributed to the increase in law and order issues, but ethnic clashes on the island has also left the families losing their loved ones to increase in domestic violence and abuse. This has seen communities and families broken apart, where police have tried to control but have been unable to due to lack of manpower. But while it may be based on the lack of manpower to lack of policing duties, locals also say that sometimes police are involved in illegal activities, where it then becomes hard to control the issues. Locals are urging the leaders of the province and the police hierarchy to fix the law and order issues on the island, let alone the entire district, so that peace and normalcy can be restored, where families, men, women and children, and those that are vulnerable can feel safe and go about their day-to-day activities. Meanwhile, with a recent incident that transpired involving the killing of a young man in Daru has left the small island town in complete chaos, where communities have been left in dismay. With tensions still high over the incident allegedly involving some officers of the PNG Defence Force in Daru has left concerned residents with a question of how this may have happened and why. Now, as you can see in the supplied footage sent to EMTV News yesterday, young people in their numbers retaliating against the police officers. However, police officers are outnumbered as violent residents continue to attack. Responsible authorities and leaders are urged to take immediate action to alleviate the situation. Meanwhile, residents are calling for the governor of the province, Taboy Awiyoto, and the local member, Seki Agisa, to intervene. EMTV will keep you updated on this story. Telefomin district has no road linking it to Vanimo, the provincial capital. Therefore, the member for Telefomin and Minister for Works and Highways, Solan Merisim, and Governor for West Sepik, Tony Wowo, launched an 8-kilometer road that will link Matopai and Edwaki Station, connecting it to Vanimo.
It was a joyous moment for the people of Namia LLG, who have been using speedboat traveling through Kaiku River to access land transport. Minister Mirisim highlighted the importance of road access.
Law Edwaki and Displa Road. Displa Road, district you put it 2 million. District you put it 2 million, please. Law Ministry Law me apply give him first 2 million finish. That's why all machine all something will be ready.
Minister Mirisim says under his leadership, he plans to connect all the 4 LLGs of Telefomin by road, and by the end of this year, 2 LLGs will be connected by road.
Talking company, also FMA area within Edwaki, all the way bridge almost roused in the putting all the bridge, so that this road then by useful.
Minister Mirisim also told the contractor to begin work right away starting today. He presented the road project as an Easter gift to the people of Namia LLG. Governor for West Sepik, Tony Wowo, also pledged his continuous support. Tumla Investment Limited Managing Director said they will begin work straight away with all machinery already on the ground. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Namia LLG of Telefomin district in the West Sepik province has potential in large-scale farming of cocoa and vanilla. Despite this potential, road access has always been a struggle until last week when local MP and Minister for Works and Highways launched an 8 kilometers road that will start from Matopai and connect to Edwaki Station.
After 47 years, Vanimo, the provincial capital of West Sepik province, will now be connected to Edwaki Station, a sub-district of the Telefomin district. Road connecting Vanimo to Matopai and to Edwaki Station received a 2 million kina funding from the Telefomin District Development Authority to start this project. Minister Mirisim further presented a 1 million kina check from the national government through the DOWH to support this important road link. He further adds that the funding was already paid to the contractor for mobilization and preparation of this project commencement. Minister Mirisim said the Matopai to Edwaki Road is an important missing road link as it has greater potential in agriculture.
Road law, Matopai, Koran law, Indami, I mean a long way. Me say come sleep law, have you gone, I mean, me say, what gone too long? Matopai, you are sleep law, have the go back like Indami. So place every cross two, road every cross two. no got mountain, no got stone, no got all something. But by panim hatem long, stone that's all.
Minister Mirsim also urged the people to work closely with the contractor to speed up work on this 8-kilometer road. He says the 40-meter road corridor belongs to the state and they must not demand compensation, but if the contractor works beyond the approved 40-meter, then they are liable to pay for damage.
Walkstalo the camp or the camp, slip love 626 by 2 or 3 Lamuntabi Arimos install long and dummy. Install long dummy. After line dummy, but you cut him straight like Wagi station.
West CP Governor Tony Wowo also committed 1 million kina towards this project as it will link Vanimo and Telefomin and once completed will become a provincial road. Contractor Tumla Investment Limited has moved all machinery and equipment to the project site and will start work on Tuesday after the Easter holiday. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. The Farmers and Settlers Association President Wilson Thompson has commended the oil palm industry for the steady increase in production and export of crude oil. President Thompson highlighted that if the same approach is taken by other commodities, including coffee, cocoa and coconut, will have a positive impact.
According to Thompson, since the enactment of the Oil Palm Industry Corporation Act 1992 has shown a steady increase in production and exports of crude palm oil and applauded the Oil Palm Industry Corporation. He says the smallholder farmers in West New Britain Province, Oro, New Ireland and Milne Bay are supported by the estates and buyers that processes into crude palm oil for exports. He notes that the oil palm has moved from the traditional oil palm provinces to East and West Sepik, East New Britain Province, Morobe and Madang that needs to be addressed in totality. Thompson adds that the production can triple when focus is diverted to the smallholders. Thompson then added that if other commodity sector tap into this same approach, they will see some positive changes. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Officers from Climate Change and Development Authority visited 2 schools in Gulf Province to carry out climate change awareness recently. Students from Kerema Coronation Secondary School and Malalawa Provincial High School were privileged to learn more about climate change.
The impact of climate change is evidently felt across the globe and PNG is no exception. Awareness to reduce activities contributing to global warming is important for everyone. The awareness carried out recently by officers of CCDA in Gulf Province was on the signs of climate change and the 9 priority areas for adaptation. During the awareness, National Communication Officer from CCDA, Priscilla Pep, explained the signs of climate change. She said climate change is an increase in the average global temperatures. Natural events and human activities are believed to be contributing to an increase in average global temperature, which has begun to alter the Earth's climate at an unprecedented rate.
We flooded now long one time Solwara. King tight.
She said the greenhouse gases have increased significantly, especially over the last 50 years due to human activities. National Communication Officer from CCDA, Ms. Jacinta Cool, said the effects of climate change have already been seen in PNG, especially those of coastal flooding, inland flooding, drought, increased prevalence of malaria, damage to coral reefs, and the migration of people who are fleeing serious effects. Students present were educated on how to address climate change in their communities. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Civil and Identity Registry in PNG is putting efforts in collecting vital data for planning. One of them is through the upgrade of NID equipment to fast-track the registration process across the country. On the recent commissioning of the new NID server, the Deputy Registrar General, PNG Civil and Identity Registration, Salome Bogosia, has explained the registration process that they are using.
PNG Civil and Identity Registry Deputy Registrar General Salome Bogosia has explained the process they use to collect data and drew a comparison to the system other Pacific Island countries are using.
And what's standard around the world, it's termed the Civil Registration of Vital Statistics. It's the process of registering deaths and births, marriages, adoptions, and all the other vital events. So in PNG, that process has died for us. And that's the work that we are trying to do under PNG CIR, apart from the NID project, to revive that process. For other Pacific Island countries, they have very effective birth and death notification systems, and that's because they have very small population.
She said it is a challenge for PNG to be on an upgraded level.
Civil registration, focusing on birth registration, and they have developed systems. And for us, other Pacific Island countries, the same agenda is pushed down for us to collect birth registration. But in terms of our geography and the difficulty and the financial cost of going out there to collect data, Papua New Guinea has taken that stand. And in the Pacific, we are actually now leading in terms of putting identity into civil registration. And we are recoining the term from civil registration and vital statistics to civil and identity registration and vital statistics. So,
although due to PNG scenario like the geography and other factors, collaborative effort has been pushed forward in the process of civil identity and registrations data collection and has made PNG to lead in the space of data registration compared to other Pacific islands.
Way that we can go about. So, and you see on social media, everyone's complaining about how we could do it like other Pacific Island countries, but our scenario is different in terms of our culture and our geographical challenges as well. And we are actually, in terms of the space that we are now, we're actually leading in terms of much of the development and much of the statistics as well in the experience. So we shouldn't shoot ourselves in the foot. Papua New Guinea, and especially young Papua New Guinea, tap themselves on the shoulder because we're actually leading in the space. When you actually go out onto the international forum and you hear from other Pacific Island countries, you'll be proud of what we've done as a country.
Grace Papiali, National EMTV News.
The National Cultural Commission Executive Director Stephen Kilanda has made an appeal to provincial governments and districts to partner with the National Cultural Commission to host cultural festivals. He made this statement during the recent check presentation to the Samurai Murua District's festival.
The National Cultural Commission, as the body responsible to lead in cultural events in the country, is showing its support to provincial governments to partner with them through the signing of Memorandum of Understanding. This is so for other provinces and districts in the country. National Cultural Commission Executive Director Stephen Kilanda stated this.
Really need the provincial government to host all the provincial shows across the country. We have to hold the 22 provincial government to come and partner with National Cultural Commission to host all the provincial cultural shows.
Kilanda also appealed to the District Development Authority to partner also.
District Development Authorities, the district MPs, district leaders, to host district cultural shows, just like what Samurai Murua District Development Authority is doing in partnership with National Cultural Commission. So, and then we, at the LG level, we need all the LG presidents and heirs, and also in the world level, we encourage all our leaders at the political level, and at all levels to come and partner with us.
Grace Papiali, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Christ to the Nation is an international ministry that organizes tour for international travel for various denominations. Person in charge of the tour, Dr. Johnston Pandey, who has lived in the US for almost 30 years, says this year the international tour will be in October. Every year, Christians around the country from various denominations go on a pilgrimage to exercise their faith by traveling to certain parts of the world. An international ministry that organizes tour for international travelers from various denominations is Dr. Johnston Pandey, who has lived in the US for almost 3 decades and says this year the international tour will be in October.
We are exposing them, giving them the international exposure. So that's where I have taken pastors and leaders from this nation. We have done 6 conferences in the U.S. This will be the 7th one. I'm taking around 40 people, 40 to 50 people, depending. We're taking people from here, Papua New Guinea, Port Moresby, and then we're traveling to the Philippines. We're having a crusade there in the Philippines. I'm preaching there in the Philippines. And then we're traveling through Thailand and Dubai. We'll be touring Dubai.
He added that those that are part of the tour go to various parts of the world where they pray, fast, and go through their Christian faith.
Tour, what we try to do is empowering the body of Christ. As you are traveling, you are learning. And then also there's so many things that we try to instill in them, like when they're seeing, they're participating, preaching in churches like the pastors, they're able to come back with a greater exposure to great nations, Western nations, and they're able to come back and appreciate what God is doing in other nations.
The tour, which is currently set to take place in October, is still in the process of organizing their travel, accommodation and funding. Trophy House Boroko, that was closed yesterday and today, had most of its stock on sale in the last month or two, which saw an increase in the number of customers during the Easter weekend. Sales rep Ian Ume told MTV News that Trophy House Boroko had the most customers that came in to purchase medals and trophies for their sporting events. From running their special for the last 2 months to approaching the long Easter weekend, Trophy House Boroko had so many customers flocking to purchase various items. Items in particular were the sports trophies and medals, including shields that customers wanted to buy for their Easter weekend sporting tournaments. Sales representative Ian Ume told MTV News that Trophy House said it was the sporting items that customers wanted.
We have our ongoing specials on apparels, jeanswear, our shoes. The ones that on clearance is still going for sale, and also we got the Roxy, Billabong, Customs, phones, and all. Most of our customers here in Boroko are coming for the trophies and our services also. So for their Easter games and all this stuff from around the nation.
He said other items on sale that were selling and those that didn't had to be moved to other centers in Port Moresby.
Our valued customers want to do their shopping, they can go to the one at Waterfront, Rainsview, Vincent City, and Gordon's Brandwell Plaza. They'll be opening.
Trophy House was closed as of yesterday and will reopen tomorrow. Moving to overseas news now, and funeral for the 2 British-Israeli sisters who were shot dead were carried out amidst growing tensions in Israel.
As Maya and Rena were brought in, the wailing of Rena's teenage school friends filled the prayer hall. Their father, a rabbi, bent low over their bodies, the pain on his face hidden for a moment in a last embrace with his daughters.
Today, the Jewish people have proven that we are one. We are united, Alecha. But the simple, quiet family in Efrat is devastated. The whole country hurts.
Maya was 20 years old when she died. Rina was 15. Their mother, still unconscious in hospital, doesn't even know yet that they're dead. They were travelling from their West Bank settlement to the Sea of Galilee for a family holiday this week when their Israeli car came under fire. Among the mourners today, Israel's National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, a hard-right leader who was once a member of a banned extremist group.
The Australian government has expressed concerns over the leak of secret US documents online.
Photos of what appears to be classified intelligence documents from the Pentagon have been leaked online. The details published cover a number of national security secrets, including a month-old snapshot, partial snapshot of the war in Ukraine, information on missile testing in North Korea, and information on China. But the authenticity of all the documents is yet to be verified. But the leak could be seen as one of the most serious security breaches since more than 700,000 documents, videos and cables appeared in WikiLeaks leak in 2013. International security and intelligence expert John Blaxland says Moscow could be behind the leak as an attempt to undermine the confidence and morale of the Western supporters of the war in Ukraine.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The National Souths Basketball League tournament has completed its regular rounds as of yesterday and witnessed its knockouts and finals played today at the Tarama Aquatic and Indoor Centre.
The National Souths Basketball League tournament witnessed its top 6 teams head to a showdown commencing at 3 p.m. this afternoon at the Tarama Aquatic and Indoor Centre. The hot favourites, the Kamele Mendy Mengiles, put up outstanding performances against their opponents in both the men's and the women's knockouts playoff, while the defending premiers, the Kutubu Lakers, are also hard in the grind as they look to defending their title in this year's championships. The grand finals will see the first and second top teams from both the men's and the women's pools go head-to-head for the premier title, followed by the third and the fourth teams that will vie for the runners-up decider spot. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
The hockey fraternity witnessed 4 days of competition competed between 8 participating teams. This is the lead-up event to the selection of the final hockey side that will represent the country at the 2023 Pacific Games.
A total of 8 teams of 4 men's and 4 women's were vying for the top spot throughout the Easter long weekend in the National Hockey Selection Trials at the Sir John Guy's Hockey Pavilion. This was further detailed by the tournament director Raymond Lapoon.
Our selection trials for the Pacific Games coming this November. We started on Friday with players coming in from Kokopo, Ley and Manus, and including Port Moresby. We have a team of 4 men and 4 women.
The teams consist of players from the 4 regions of the country, including national hockey reps in the likes of Lola Ilumpui, who represented the country on 3 occasions.
Privileged to be named in the training on squad for 2023 Pacific Games. The 4 days tournament or trials has been really tough. we've pushed ourselves in this past 3 months, struggling to train and get ourselves fit in preparation for these trial matches. Taking part in the national championships here in Port Moresby. At the international level, I've taken part in 3 occasions, 3 fronts. That was in Fiji, in Rockhampton and in Sydney. And I'm looking forward to take part in the Pacific Games this year again, if I make the team.
According to Director Lapun, out of the 96 participants, only 18 players will be selected to represent the country in the 2023 Pacific Games in the Solomon Islands. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. Moving to overseas sports now. In NRL, Newcastle has returned to the top 8 for the first time in more than a year.
Up 22-6 at half-time, the Knights looked at risk of becoming the second team to fall victim to a Warriors comeback in as many weeks when the visitors got the score back to 22-18. Kurt Mann crossed for a try later in the second half to snuff out any chance of the Warriors completing the unlikely comeback. Earlier on in the day, Gold Coast scored a late converted try to get over the top of St George Illawarra, 20-18.
And in AFL, Melbourne forward Tom McDonald has returned to form, inspiring his team in a 63-point victory over the Eagles in Perth.
McDonald kicked 4 goals in his return to the side as the Demons enjoyed a 19-12, 126-9-9 63-point win. Clayton Oliver had 34 touches to continue his rich vein of form, and Christian Petrarca was pretty good as well. He had 29 and kicked 3 goals through the middle of the ground. Earlier, Essendon defeated the Giants despite some wayward kicking in front of goal. The score there ended up 12-22-88 to 11-9-75. Jake Stringer was back to his brilliant best, kicking 4 goals 6 in his return to form, while midfielders Zach Merritt and Darcy Parish were too strong through the middle of the ground.
And in netball, a big third quarter has seen the Collingwood Magpies defeat the Queensland Firebirds in Melbourne.
Jodie Ann Ward had 5 intercepts to be great in defence for the Magpies. Fellow Jamaican Shimona Nelson scored 61 goals and really got going after a slow start, helping guide the Magpies to the 69-61 goal win. The Firebirds are now sit on the bottom of the ladder without a win so far this year. Later on, the Giants had their first win of the season, getting over the Thunderbirds 59-54 in South Australia. Jamie Lee Price and Amy Parmenter were both dominant through the centre of the court.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby, Daru, Kerema, Alatau and Popondetta, partly cloudy with some afternoon showers and possible thunderstorm. In the Momase region, all centers cloudy periods with afternoon showers and thunderstorm. And in the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, cloudy with rain showers and thunderstorm and possibility of flooding. KVN, cloudy with rain showers and thunderstorm with possible flooding. Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka, periods of showers and possible thunderstorm. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Mendi, Wabeg and Kundiawa, cloudy with rain showers and afternoon thunderstorm. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border to Daru to Kiwai Islands to Kerema to Port Moresby to Hood Point, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of east of Hood Point to Samarai Islands to eastern and western Milne Bay Islands to Cape Vogel, seas 0.5 to 1 meter. Waters of Cape Vogel to Yuan Gulf to Finschhafen, seas 0.5 to 1 meter. Waters of Inchafen through Viti's Dampier Straits to Siasi and Long Islands to Medang seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters north of Medang to Wewak to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of New Ireland and New Britain seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters, and waters of Bougainville seas 0.5 to 1 meter. And taking a look at the ocean forecast, Coral Sea sees slight northwest to clockwise winds of 10 to 15 knots. Solomon Sea sees slight northwest to southeast winds of 5 to 10 knots. Bismarck Sea sees slight to moderate northeast to southeast winds of 10 to 15 knots. And Pacific Ocean sees slight becoming moderate to northwest winds of 10 to 20 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Monday, the 10th of April 2023. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing, have a safe working week. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.